Hi, Pat Lawles here again. I'm doing a video about the inside of the boat. I will do other videos in the future about the journey to the start, about the weather, navigation, solar, the deck, food, safety equipment, and the elephant in the room, the mast, the most vulnerable part of the boat. I'm blessed to be able to keep my boat in Dingle, great sheltered area on the southwest coast of Ireland. Also blessed to have my mother still with me. She's 93 years old today. A good few people have asked me to tell them about my preparation of the boat for the Golden Globe race. My boat is a Saltram Saga 36. It's a strong boat, a heavier displacement than the Rustlers, a fuller bow, about the same beam, about the same length. So my centre of gravity is lower. My mast is about 2.5 feet lower than the Rustlers. My mainsail isn't that much smaller because my luff is the same. My boom is a lot lower, which is great. Actually, if you jibe, you have to be very careful. It will hit you in the shoulder or the ear or something like that. It's quite low in the cockpit. But it has advantages. It took me a while to figure it out, but it is actually an advantage that on deck it's easier to work in it, and sailing wise the performance is better and the effort is lower, so there isn't as much leverage up high to heel the boat over. So John Luke made a fantastic job of his boat. He reduced the height of the mast, but I certainly feel I don't have to. Now we're starting 2 months later, which is better weather on average. You never know. And like John Luke and Susie Goodall both got very bad weather in midsummer in the second half of their Southern Ocean trip, so you don't know. Now I know we had a storm there the other day. I was actually in Paris at the boat show. I missed it, thank God. But we had that storm in Ireland, and that would be equivalent to what you'd expect in the Southern Ocean on average, maybe twice. So you have to prepare your boat for serious weather, serious weather, and so that's what I am trying to do. But the difference between getting that storm like you would see off the west coast of Ireland and being in that storm out off the continental shelf is slightly different, in the sense the waves wouldn't be as short and severe, you'd hope. If you had wind against tide, could be like if you met it at the Agulhas Current, it could. So you just have to prepare. I'm mainly talking now about the Southern Ocean and the risks of that. So you mainly have to prepare for the boat for getting knocked down and for doing 360s. Now the chances are during the race we'll be knocked down about 5 times. And it takes 4 months to get from the Cape of Good Hope, or once we get into the Southern Ocean a little bit before the Cape of Good Hope, over past Cape Horn and up past the Falklands, it will take over 4 months. So on average you'll get knocked down about 5 times during that time. Now it could all happen in the one day or the 1 week, or like you could get knocked down 10 times or 20 times, but you mightn't get knocked down at all if you were lucky. And then also, if you meet a really bad storm with overhanging waves, you'll go 360. 360 means you go totally upside down and the mast comes up the other side. And what's even worse again is pitch poling, but Susie Goodall and John Luke pitch poled, which means you go head over heels, and it's just more violent for a boat and things like that. So preparing the boat for those kind of conditions, it's a learning curve. I'm asking everyone's advice and getting advice, and I have learned an awful lot. I would have assumed that a standard new rigging would be strong enough for the Southern Ocean, but it's not. It is if you're lucky. Like the 5 boats that lost their masts in the last race, there were new masts and new rigging, and that they just weren't strong enough, in my opinion. Now a new mast and rigging for the Northern Hemisphere for sailing around is one thing, but for the Southern Ocean, where you're going in, where your mast is going deep into the water, and on a heavy displacement boat, actually there's a bigger load on it. When it goes into the water, like I have 6 tons of ballast, and it will, when the mast is in the water, deep in the water, and when the keel comes out of the water, which it will, when the wave goes away from underneath it, it will whip up faster than a lighter boat. And with that, the torque of that whip up, it will be more inclined to break things. Now, leaning down on a mast, if you're leaning on the mast down, it's downward pressure. So if you push hard enough, it will fold. But leaning down, that any bit of sidewards pressure too will also increase the chances of it breaking. So the downward pressure is one thing, but the sideways pressure caused by spinnaker boom or a main boom or anything off the mast, you must avoid if at all possible. So this is just my notions now, but so I won't be reducing the height of the mast. I have put extra stays and shrouds on, so I'll have 15 altogether, and the more you put on, the more the load is spread, the better, again in my opinion. So I'm going to put a sleeve up inside the mast like a hedge girder. Now it will, if the mast is 10 inches from front to back, it'll only be 5 inches. It'll be two sides like that, and a single bar across, and it'll be like a hedge girder but with convex sides, and it will slide up into the mast. All the fittings will have to be taken off, and it'll slide up into the mast. And where the 4 lowers are, there's T-balls, so there's 4 T-balls to hold the 4 lower shrouds, and I'll take off the T-balls, they just clip off, and anything else in the way where the halyards come out, and slide up the sleeve when it's made, and mark it, and then take it down and put in, weld in a hollow pipe across, and when it goes back up, there'll be bolts go through that with tangs that will hold the 4 lowers, so they'll be quite strong. Each lower will have its own fix on each side, and it's going through with a compression bolt and tangs, so I reckon they'll be strong. Now you have the problem where the top stops, it's beside the lower spreaders, where the top of the sleeve stops, so you have to make sure that it's all rounded and soft there. The bolts will be holding it just here, because aluminium is flexible, and when it flexes, and it needs to flex, you don't want a pressure point here. The mast will be going right up, but where the sleeve will be going to here, say, you don't want a pressure point that will make the mast kink, because this will be flexing. You know, a mast is designed to flex. It's good engineering and all that. So this point here, even though I'll have the 4 lowers coming down from here, and the cross trees are here, so it'll be held steady. So I'm kind of making it up as I go along now. I'm getting good advice from different people in France and everywhere, South Africa and Ireland and that, like, so. Yeah, so this sleeve, if you don't do it, I reckon it's a bigger gamble than if you do it. And it is the gamble, because will it cause problems? If it kinks, it's like if you kink a straw or anything, it loses all its strength. The strength is a shape. But anyway, it'll be held here with bolts going through, and it'll be held in rivets and other places. But I won't over fix it. Where the halyards come out of the mast, there'll have to be work done there. But it'll be tight in, and that's so. So that's the sleeve. And where the 2 cross trees are, there's T-balls up here that'll be replaced. I have some replaced already, but I'll try and replace all the T-balls. Maybe not for the dolphins and things like that, but so that's my mast, what I'm going to do to the mast, and hopefully, touch wood, it'll work. So preparing anyway inside the boat is the next thing. My barometer is most important for my weather forecasting, so I'll use one of these. This is my Icon SSB and my VHF. They will be boxed off. This is working great. I'm delighted with it. And the batteries, I'm replacing all those batteries. There's 2 deep cycle here, 105 amp hour, and the starter battery for the engine. So they will be replaced. And I won't be sleeping in the quarter berth during the race. I've decided Actually, you sleep on the floor is easy. It's getting in there and I'll use that for storage. That's the reason I won't be sleeping there. It's very handy for storage. I will put different kind of storage units in there. I'm not sure exactly yet. And that copper, that's going down to the earth. That's gone down to the earth plate for the SSB radio and go back to the tuner box. And that'll be all storage back there. And you sit here at the chart table, so there will be a seat there. That's fine. I have more batteries in here, another bank of batteries inside there, which work well. I will be putting 2 new batteries in there, so hopefully I'll get 2 to fit nicely. I have a very kind and generous person, Canan's Forklift Company and Fines are going to supply my batteries. And he was on to me about that, so I have the solar panels on one side will be charging these batteries and the other side will be charging these batteries. So my electronics are fairly good actually. I will do a separate video on electronics. So this is my cooker. It's the boat is the tip now because I'm working on it, but that's fine. This is my metal cooker. If anyone knows where I get good clean white mets in Ireland, I'd be delighted to hear about it, rather than the stuff with the blue dye. So these are little dehumidifiers, which are fantastic. I have a few of them in the boat. There's more of them around that just keep the moisture out of it, and with the fire going as well, it's great. I will use the bunks for sitting on and sleeping on, and they're your couch, they're your bed, everything. So one each side. I'll put seat belts onto them to hold me in if it gets very windy. The lockers I'll just use for storage for all different things, clothes and tools. So the bunk on the other side is has a table, new table put in one side. The tables work fantastic. I'll come back to the table. And the other lockers on the other side are there. So yeah, then the other thing is the fire. Fire is a big thing. Fire is one great thing that I have on the boat. I really like it. Now, the top is all fine. That's all good. The chimney, I'll have to change the bottom chimney and work it from one diameter to another. So I'll put an extra support there as well, and I won't protect the timber behind it. I've had timber behind it for a while. There's no problem. After the race, I might. So yeah, thanks to Michael McLaughlin, Tipperary, who gave me the fire. So now back to the table. I took out the old table that was in the boat. It was a lovely table. I have it put away and it'll go back in, no problem. The old table will be way better if there's a good few people in the boat, but just a solo sailor, this table I think will work way better. I will be able to store an awful lot of goods in a good centre of the boat, dry place, so the weight is in the right place and it will stay dry. It'll act as support for the side of my bunk. I have screwed the top down very securely and tightly on it with the 3 openings, but I have to make sure that if I get a bed knocked down and go turtle, that the top doesn't pop off. So in bad storms, when I think this could happen, I will actually put clothes, sleeping bags or something like that down on top of the dried goods that will be in the middle, so that they won't come up with a bang and hit the top and knock it off. So it would be serious if stuff starts flying around the cabin. You also have the problem of making sure everything else is secure. There are some really obvious ones, and one of the main obvious ones is the engine. Make sure your engine is well fixed down. Also, there is your batteries. Another one, if they go, they're like little missiles. If they start flying around inside, apart from the acid, they could go out through the windows of the top of the boat. Anyway, that'll do for now, and I hope you enjoy. So please like and subscribe, and chat you in on. Slán agus benacht. So that's enough for now, and thank you for watching the video, and if you like it, please subscribe and share and all things like that. And with the help of God, all the effort being put into things like this will pay off, and I get around the world safely.